Well, we'll see how today goes, but at least for the moment, I'm feeling significantly better. I'm currently drinking my room coffee, and then I'm going to get things together and get out on the road. It's looking like it is going to basically be raining for the next week. So, good thing that I'm feeling better after my zero here. Everything's clean. I'm feeling a little mentally refreshed after getting some private time. Onward and into Ohio. Jen is good for me in so many ways, but because she's 3 hours behind, it does tend to delay me in the hotel so I can speak to her in the morning. I totally recommend that hotel because unlike some of the others that we read reviews on, there was not a desperate plea for help left in one of the bathrooms. The Econo Lodge reviews were wild. So I basically never wanted to get out of bed since I was trying to rest my feet and they were in really rough shape. I was doing better by yesterday afternoon, but I did not feel up to walking to coffee. I ended up realizing I needed a fuel canister, striking out as far as Trail Angels up ahead. So I limped down, Ubered across town to a Walmart, bought that and a couple other things, and then Ubered back, which felt incredibly wasteful, but sometimes it's what you have to do. And before somebody says it, yes, I know cold soaking is a thing. I tried it, I grew out of it. My hot coffee is worth the hassle. Not to mention, there's just something about getting to camp and lighting the stove. When I haven't had a stove along for whatever reason, I kind of miss that ritual. Not sure if it's the end of town or just the time of day, but far less sketchy vibe this morning. And coffee shops. My God, this is actually good coffee. I have had so little of that since starting on this trail. How long ago? 100 years ago? 30, 40 days? Same thing. But okay, eventually I am going to make it over the bridge and into Ohio. Oh, look, there's Ohio. It says something about where I've been walking that I'm actually surprised there's a sidewalk. I was looking at that breakdown lane and going, oh yeah, well, you know, I've had worse. And welcome to the Ohio River. Now, after the Mississippi, Jen and I are constantly looking for other big rivers that you can actually paddle on and seem like they'd be relatively doable. Some of them I've seen people end up having to just do ridiculous level portages. And if I have to have a vehicle to have somebody run me around a bunch of things, maybe not worth it, other than bragging rights. Aside from the fact my shoes are broken down and they still haven't arrived up ahead, I am in far better spirits after that zero. If you're wondering why I don't do that more every time I start feeling down, it's because a non-trivial number of times I've taken a break like that, recovered, set out, only to have something even worse happen immediately after, basically making the break be a waste. And there's just such a time limit on most hikes that are not the AT for me. And if I take a break at someplace like a hostel or a Trail Angels that is a shared space, I tend not to get quite the same mental refresh I do out of a hotel where I can just close the door and be left alone. Welcome to the continuing adventures of Matt, the outgoing introvert. Oh man, I just realized I was singing that John Denver song, and now I'm gonna have far less satisfaction singing it that I'm no longer in West Virginia. My baby music was basically John Denver and the Monkees, thanks to my mother, versus Jen tends to want to sing like show tunes and things, and then looks down on me when I quote musicals I like, you know, like the classic Cannibal the Musical. I actually would have tried to stay in a hotel on this side of the bridge just so I could cleanly say I was through Ohio, but they're all on the West Virginia side. Haven't touched my water, but I'm not sure when I'm going to get to fill up ahead. They should really stop making antifreeze look like Gatorade, or vice versa. Man, I thought these states were going to get flat at some point. I keep thinking those would look like a lot of fun to stand inside and then roll down hills. Probably the rural equivalent of sticking your kids on a trampoline, aka very likely to end up in the urgent care. It is kind of amazing how much of a positive that zero was. I am enjoying myself so much more at the moment. Shame it was at a place with expensive hotels, but the other part of it is, while that hotel was expensive, it also had exactly what I needed, and it was far more restful than, say, that one outside of Bridgeport. I had been having thoughts of, gee, I wish I could take a zero as far back as Philippi, which did have an inexpensive and, nice hotel. But this worked out. I also kind of like taking breaks right at the state borders versus in the middle. Just feels cleaner. Also, as it turns out, the trail angel up ahead, he's still like 28 miles away. Has yet to receive the package with my shoes. So I might have got delayed there anyway. I'll say the start of Ohio has been much nicer than the last bit of West Virginia. West Virginia had a lot of pretty spots, but there were a fair amount of poverty-stricken areas that were a little sketchy to go through. And that road walk right before Parkersburg obviously was not the best. At some point the states get flat, right? I don't mind the up and down. It's actually pretty scenic, but it does do a pounding on my knees and on my feet off and on. I am constantly surprised at the amount of awareness of this trail. I'm not using this, but these are rare enough. I might as well go take a look, huh? I was talking to Jen this morning about how so many people seem to recognize what I'm doing out here, know about the ADT. And yet when I was on the Continental Divide Trail, it seemed like even people in the towns the trail went through rarely knew what it was. You could practically have a conversation with somebody, and they're going, CDT? I don't think I've ever heard of that. And you point at the thing on the ground, which happened to be a CDT logo sign saying Trail Town. Oh, this is cute though. Oh, it is getting bloody warm. This is going to be a fun summer once the heat really starts. I'm out in those areas without trees. If there's one lesson to learn from last year, it's that it ain't the heat that kills you, it's the humidity. I just had a fun conversation with a guy on a bike, asking what I'm doing, etc. He had a dead man switch. If he was still for more than 3 minutes, it would ping him. And when he went through 2 of those, his wife was calling him to make sure he wasn't dead. You can technically use the InReach and have somebody at home following along with your progress. The problem is, eventually, I should not sit in that chair. Oh, but I want to. Eventually, you get into a section where you lose satellite for a while. And then next thing you know, somebody's from back home is posting in a panic on Facebook thinking you're dead. Not to mention, those things eat battery like crazy if you're just tracking as you go. Hence why I leave mine off and I just turn it on at the end of the day to give an all okay ping. I have met people and seen plenty of breathless social media advice where people are convinced it has to be on all the time and within reach because they read a book one time about this guy that fell into some rocks and then had to chop his own arm off. I don't think I'd be able to keep myself from vomiting long enough to, get through a top 10 list style YouTube fodder video. But if I did, it would be top 10 social media, outdoor advice that I can't stand, think it's horribly wrong and you should never listen to. And the sad thing going forward is with all the pluses of, the quote unquote AI tools that we're seeing now, it's now possible to go to ChatGPT and have it just spam out a couple of paragraphs on something like that. So we're probably going to see a lot more of that copy pasta level crap advice. I just got a less than encouraging comment. Somebody who is a true long distance badass, buck 30. I know he's done stuff all over the place. I originally ran across him doing the desert trail, the one that nobody knows about. And he was saying that packs of dogs are not unusual going through Ohio. I was hoping not to go through that again. And this is the sort of area I'm always looking for at the end of the day. And so, of course, it's always in the middle of the day. I just had somebody pull up and recognize me. Nice lady. She's going to keep an eye out ahead just to see if there's anything that might work out as far as a camp spot for me. Always nice to have friendly folks in the area. Okay, Jen would have disapproved of all the town food, but you know, gotta get water somehow. This is my fill up for tonight. I seem to be working on an innovative solution to the whole, hey, my clothes are getting a little loose on me solution called Matt eats out way too much. So it's funny, Jen will just go into a place and ask to fill up water or just fill up water. I tend to feel like I should buy something, partially because I've run into little like non-franchise gas stations that can be kind of difficult. Now I have a load of spaghetti and meatballs in my stomach, which is not being conducive to me walking faster out of town. Plus side, at this rate, my 6 days of bean and rice dinners are gonna last for weeks. Downside, the week-long off and on rainstorm seems to be arriving as we speak, and I have no idea where I'm gonna camp tonight. Suzanne just came back. She actually ran up on the far side of Lehman and was looking around, so I know I have at least some options. That's my kind of dog encounter. I was kind of hoping it was mostly going to be on pavement today. These little rocks are killing me. Probably doing a lot of the damage I healed up on my feet the last day. Oh well. Every step's closer to Trail Angel Billy and hopefully my new shoes. And here we go. Oh, that's nice. Be a little nicer if there was a phone number or something and I was sure it was that house, but oh well. I'm inclined to keep limping on. Okay, it's at least time to start thinking about finding a camp. I got excited when I saw this, thinking, okay, maybe I can find somebody. But this place doesn't seem to even exist online. The only phone number I can find is disconnected. So it's 7:15. My shoes may be lost in the postal system because they're now overdue by 2 days, and there's no sign of when they may show up again. My feet are killing me because I need said shoes, and I need to find some place to camp in the next 45 minutes or so. That is one judgmental cow. Somebody just stopped looking for a pair of golden retrievers, and I engaged with them, and after I said sorry I hadn't seen them, and asked if they knew if there was a place I could stay. Unfortunately, the result was going to end up being too complicated. It was, she felt uncomfortable, but she was going to give me a ride to check with somebody else to see if I could stay in this unoccupied lot. And so I'm just pushing on and hoping I find something here. And the lady just came back and gave me what I'll call quasi permission to camp on this plot of grass. So I guess I'm going to take the quasi. Okay, 7:36, and unless they come back and say their neighbor would like me to leave, I guess this is going to be home sweet home tonight. That's the road I was on back there. A little more comforting having a place where somebody actually says okay versus just, stealthing off in the bushes. Granted, the thing about stealthing off in the bushes is easier bathroom access in the morning. But oh well, I'll figure something out. Bigger problem is my shoes haven't arrived, and the Trail Angel I will likely get to tomorrow. And I am just ripping my feet up. My shoes are beyond needing to be replaced. They're 600 miles in at this point. But hey, lesson learned, huh? Now I know for Jen or my parents to mail me shoes at 450 to 500 miles if they don't get lost, like appears to have happened with this one. Oy. You know, it's funny, part of why I don't like cold soaking is I really like the ritual of cooking dinner at camp. And when I'm not doing it, I'm still stuffed from that spaghetti, which was really good. I was craving spaghetti for some reason. Always feels like there's something missing, just kind of settling down and going to bed.